Yeah. Sorry. Can
No
you
problem.
can you I guess it will be annoying to listeners, but for me, can you repeat a little bit of the last thing you said? Because I'm interested. And I got distracted because I had to close the door so that
Yeah. No, I was just
I can
saying
hear you
that
better.
I don't know what you got, but I was talking about propaganda. When
Yeah.
you your propaganda day after day. Remember, the Nazis
Yeah.
controlled the media. There was no other point of view. There was only one point of view, the Nazi point of view. Every newspaper, everything is all directed towards portraying the Jews as rats, as people that would stab you in the back. The most ugly, uh, uh, the ugliest things you can possibly imagine, and those you can imagine, were directed towards the Jewish people as the people. We were responsible for everything that
But
was
also,
wrong.
you need enough people in the first place to agree to write this propaganda down. Now, it
Well,
seems
no,
that
no.
those people are the sociopaths
Well,
because those
in
people are the ones indoctrinating. They haven't been indoctrinated.
in Nazi Germany, you did not have another point of view. It wasn't like, somebody else came along and said, that's just not true. There
Well, what about
was
the
no
people that
other
hid
point
Jews
of
in their
view. It was
houses?
all controlled by the government.
What about people
And
that hid Jewish people in their houses and they were
so of
kind?
course there are always exceptions, and there were exceptions in Germany and other parts of Europe, but those were the exceptions, the rare exceptions, who stood up and tried to be helpful and try to make a difference. But if you look at the general picture, it's a very horrible picture. There were very few that participated in trying to be helpful to our people when their lives were on the line. It wasn't about their jobs or about things like that. It was about their very, very existence, including the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church. Okay? I mean, I'm just reading a book that my son Shmuel just recommended. I'm actually reading it as we speak. It's called The Catholic Church and the Nazis. I mean, that's not the title, but it deals with that subject. And I'm reading about the stuff that was going on, much of it which I knew from other books prior. And it's like, wow, God, it's not a surprise. You know, when the Catholic Church made a deal with Adolf Hitler, that they were going to sort of work together, and the church was not going to criticize and not going to say anything about the Jewish people.
You're talking about like the Pope in Rome?
The Pope in Rome. And
so the Pope right now, does he, because it's, you got to be against anti-Semitism when you speak publicly or whatever, does he speak publicly out against anti-Semitism ever? It's a show, or he never does?
The Pope now, Francis, I believe, Pope Francis, he seems like an incredibly decent individual. Okay. And speaks out in many different things. And none of us have any issue with Pope Francis. He seems very decent, period.
Okay. That's good to know. I had a question, by the way, because I know in Pirkei Avos it says something about to not become too friendly with government officials because, I don't know, they don't have your best intention in mind or something. What happens when you become the government official?
Right.
It's actually just people. Like, well, how do you generalize like that? How do you say?
I can't. I mean, you got to speak to a rabbi about which, by the way, I love to learn. It's amazing stuff.
But Shmuel said that in your case, because I didn't know this, he said that in your case, people begged you to run. It wasn't like you were like, okay, I want a position of power or whatever. Obviously, people were like, we see that your heart is in it and you're really into this activism from your heart.
As I said earlier,
please
I came
do
from
something.
a background of being involved for our people with JDL, Jewish Defense League, being in the streets, fighting for many, many years. And it's true. I was never involved in politics before I ran for office, which is totally the exception. Everyone is basically involved, and then they wait for their opportunity to run, through political clubs and so on. I was never involved in any political club. I knew nothing about politics. How do you run for office? It was never part of my plan. When I got married in 1975, we never discussed, my wife and I, I'm going to run for office. What do you think? We should do it. Never. It was really just by chance that someone came to me at a particular point and said, you know what? You could do all your activism, all the things you do, standing up, fighting, not
And
being
instead
afraid.
of begging a government official to get it
You
done,
could do it as
you
an
get it
elected
done.
official
Yeah.
and be more effective. And I think during my 36 years, if I may say so, number one,
That's a long time.
the thing I'm proudest of is being there for people, helping people. People know that. I mean, helping people. But beyond that, speaking up, standing up. I'm still a Democrat, but I endorse more Republicans in my life than almost anyone else.
But is it like a Democrat because in New York you can't really run for anything and hope to win without registering as one?
In the beginning that was true, but later on, being in office 36 years means that I had to run 18 times because you run every 2 years for re-election.
So you won 18 times?
That's correct. So
wow.
Many times when I ran the last 20 years even, I got more votes on the Republican line, because many times I had the Republican line and the Democratic line. I got more votes on the Republican line than I got on the Democratic line. So in the district that I ran, I could have won as a Republican. I could have won as whatever I would run.
Oh, okay.
But look, I have often endorsed Republicans. I still do, because I have always made it very clear. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Jew first. I'm an American first. And whatever's good for our country, or whatever's good for the Jewish people, that's what I care about. I don't give a darn about the political label.
So did you resign, or it was like your time was up, like you can't run anymore?
There's no time up. You could, on a state level, there's no term limits. So you could run forever.
So you resigned?
Yeah, well, I didn't resign. I just didn't run for re-election. After 36 years, I decided that I wanted to do something else. Good stuff, but something else.
I wish you would have climbed the ladder and then done more good.
Well,
it's tiring, I'm sure.
It's a long story, but look, I loved what I did.
Yeah.
When you're an elected official, it is an unbelievable opportunity to do good. Every day you can do good. You have an office, you have staff, and you can, if you care, you can do so much good. And not just for individuals, which is very important, but also for the cause. How many people do we have today standing up for our people out there? I mean, how many names, if I asked anyone out there, tell me some of the people, congressmen, state senators, assemblymen.
To be honest, I trust like the evangelical Christians the most, because they're very
they're wonderful. They're wonderful. But there are very few people that are just there, always standing up and fighting for the things that, especially what's going on. Nobody wants to rock the boat. I don't know what it is. I don't understand exactly.
But it always has to start with one person, and then other people follow suit. But people are afraid to be the pioneer, which you were, and you are still. With anti-Semitism. What was the other thing that I wanted to ask you? Random question, but I don't know which one to ask first. Have you heard of 2,000 Mules, the movie, the documentary? 2,000 Mules?
No, I haven't.
So Dinesh D'Souza, I think that's his name is, created a documentary. It has I wish I remembered his name. He does PragerU. What's his name? The guy who does that. He was on there.
Yeah, sure.
But he basically he did a documentary proving that the election was rigged, but like with trillions of hours of
which election was rigged?
This past election.
2020, you mean?
No. Yeah.
You mean the Trump election in 2020?
Trump and Biden, yeah.
Biden,
he was showing.
I don't listen. I'm sorry.
He was showing at least 2,000 mules, meaning people that were shown on camera, and also that they were able to track with their phones, that went to, like, let's say over 14 drop boxes in 1 hour, like late at night, and put a bunch of ballots in each one, took a picture of it, ran back into their car. And this happened in all of the key states. And they calculated that it was enough to add up that it turned over like 4 out of 5 or something, or whatever like that. I don't know how many key states there are of the swing states. And effectively turned over the election. And then you see all of the, the news sites stating the exact same rhetoric verbatim of, this was the most secure election. Like, why do you need to say the most? Like, calm down. They all said this is the most secure, whatever. So it's not about like, oh, Trump better, Biden better, whatever, even though they both have issues. Biden is probably like, he's not even aware of his left foot. Trump shows off about his left foot. I don't know. It's just, we didn't really have any good options, but I would say that Trump might have been a lot better for the economy and for Israel. But either way, it looks like it was rigged, which makes it scary, and thinking that, yeah, you should go out and vote, but if your vote doesn't really count, what do you do about that?
So can I tell you,
yeah,
you don't have to worry, because 2020 was not rigged. That is
I'm
ridiculous.
I'm gonna send you the link, and you can
send me whatever,
make your own judgment on it.
Listen,
pretty fascinating
I have read and watched everything that was going on in terms after the election. The fact is that Biden had 10 million more votes than Trump. That is a fact. And the Trump people, this is America, where you can go to court, you can present evidence, okay? And you go to court, and if you have evidence, you succeed most of the time. There were dozens and dozens of cases that were brought to court, including judges who were appointed by Donald Trump. Guess what? I think it was 51 cases. They lost every single case. You know why? Because there was no proof. It was BS, big time.
Is it not because there's so many corrupt people in the government?
No. Oh, please. Trump is the honest one, right? Come on.
Well, and not as a comparison.
I supported Trump because he was great for the Jewish people. His behavior. Look, he lost the election in Georgia for 2 United States senators. He lost the election. The fact is that many Republican congressmen won their elections in many states and did better than Donald Trump did in their districts. Let me repeat that.
I wish DeSantis
these Republican congressmen had more votes than Donald Trump, because people, you know why? It's very simple. And I have the same problem, and a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that is his behavior.
Well, he's a narcissist, but I'm saying if I have to choose.
We need a narcissist president, right?
But I mean, it's better to have a narcissist that makes your country better if that's his job. I'm not hiring him to be my husband. He's just.
So I hope.
If that's my choice.
So I hope people we have great people in the Republican Party. DeSantis from Florida, Nikki Haley, Pompeo. We have amazing people who have the policies of Donald Trump, but not the baggage of Donald Trump. So I hope that my greatest hope is that Donald Trump will, play a role and just forget about running for president. Because if he runs for president, he will lose again. Not because of me. Right. He will lose because there are too many moderate Republicans, independents, that will not go for his behavior. I mean, that's what happened in the last election. He lost fair. And
what do you think about the fact that Trump's rallies were ridiculously enormous? I mean, filling stadiums and spilling out. And then you had Biden who filled up a few folding chairs that were tripping over.
So isn't it funny that Biden won by 10 million votes?
Right. So how can
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny?
So how can that be?
So because look, Donald Trump has a lot of very enthusiastic followers. They will fill a stadium plus. That's wonderful. That doesn't mean you win an election. The idea is to win an election, not how many people show up at your rally.
But I'm saying it just doesn't add up.
It adds up to me.
Because the drastic difference, it's not just a small difference.
It makes total sense.
Drastic difference of their crowds.
Because look, how many people are enthusiastic about you? You need to get, by the way, in order to win, you need 50% plus one.
Plus
and if
one
you don't
person.
have it, if you don't have it, you lose.
Plus one person?
No, I'm saying you have to have a majority. That's the way you win.
Right.
And also, of course, you have to win electoral college, of course. But look, Trump lost. It's the most pathetic, pathetic.
I can't wait for you to watch the documentary.
I watched a lot
because
of
the
stuff.
guys at the beginning were like, listen, I can't speak. You got to prove it to me. I'm not going to buy it, even though they were Republicans.
I saw
and then he
many
showed them
things.
the footage. It was.
I saw many things, and it was just ridiculous. I mean, I saw what happened in Georgia, where all the top people there were Republicans. And I saw that, we all heard, you heard it too, that Donald Trump called up the Secretary of State of Georgia at that time. And he literally asked him to find more votes for him. He instructed him, you got to get more votes for him.
Isn't the guy said,
this is what to do? He said, this is what you got. These were Republicans, people that supported him, that wanted him. So
the movie literally proves it, but it's hard to believe because it's so unbelievable. So okay. I don't know. I know that so you have nowadays in the world, you have, globalism and conspiracy theories and all this stuff. And honestly, with each conspiracy theory seeming to become prophetic, true, it's starting to feel less like conspiracy theories and more like the reality. For example, passports that will become, electronically, people will be tracked and all of that.
I don't lose any sleep over any of this.
Over globalism, Klaus Schwab and all that.
Nor should you. Look, we're faced with a real dilemma in this country. We're so divided. Look, not only are we divided, it's not only Republicans and Democrats. It's within the Republican Party. It's within the Democratic Party. You have the radical left in the Democratic Party. You have the Republican Party clearly is very, very divided. And look, the idea is to win the next election, not to see how many people show up at a rally for Donald Trump.
Well, no, of course. I was mentioning it based on how can it be that you have so many people? I want
very simple. It's very simple. More people vote for the other guy. That's how it happens. And that's what happened.
Are you open to the idea that it could be that if they show you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Not anymore, because I'll look at whatever you send me, and I'll tell you what I think. But
pretty fascinating.
I did look at everything.
Well, nobody saw this until now. This is a recent.
No, but there were many. There were many other things. As I said, they went to court. In court, you bring the proof to show.
They didn't have this proof then, from what I understand.
Oh, they suddenly found it? Where did they find it?
No, so there's it's called geo-tracking, I believe, where they track everyone's phones. And then they had to narrow it down to only the phones in the area that were going to multiple drop boxes in a small period of time.
Listen,
with multiple ballots.
I will look at what you send me, but I'm sure it is ridiculous. I'm saying it in advance. I'll look at it, but it's silly.
You're sure it's ridiculous, but you didn't see it?
100%. And
really?
And you know what?
What?
After I watch it, I'm going to call you.
I would love to hear your feedback on it.
Sure.
I'm really curious. I wanted to ask you a random question because I feel like this is interesting for viewers, but also even for myself.
Sure, of course.
I don't remember if because obviously I had the honor and pleasure of sitting with your family over Pesach and having interesting, intellectually stimulating conversations. And so I don't remember if you guys said or not, but I was curious how you and your wife met.
So
I know she's like an incredible Israel activist, and she's
she's amazing. She's amazing.
Activist, not just talking. Like she's really passionate. I can tell.
She's been involved with Keret Kohanim for 32 years, which is involved in Jews moving into all the quarters of the old city of Jerusalem and outside the old city. I mean, she does amazing holy.
What about Judea and Samaria? Nothing to do with that.
No, I mean, that's her area that she works, which is unbelievable. I've watched the progress over the last 30 plus years. We met in 1973. I went to Russia to protest with a group of people. I was going to protest at Lenin's tomb. We got arrested by the KGB. We were thrown out of the country.
You and your wife got arrested?
No, just me. I had met her at that point in 73.
Okay.
Shani, my wife,
By the way, this annoying thing is 6 minutes left. So if we need a little more time, well, we probably will.
Okay,
I'll call you back.
okay, we'll get this in. So Shani was in New York. She finished Stern College for women. She was going to Boston to study. So for the summer, she got a job at a Jewish organization called the Jewish Defense League, JDL. She had no idea what JDL was. She got a job. Okay. One day when I came back from Russia.
She was like an intern there, like volunteering?
No, she was a secretary for the summer. Okay. So when I came back, I was at the JDL office. She met me. When I met her, I was engaged to someone else.
What?
And at one point during that week or two, she came over to me and said, if I had met you 2 weeks ago, you wouldn't be planning your engagement party.
Oh my God.
And it's not that simple, because the person I was involved in was amazing, but I know it wasn't the right shidduch. And anyway, the rest is history, because we got married shortly thereafter, 2 years, and that's the story. And now it's 46 years later. I do not hear you now. I don't hear.
You don't hear me now?
Now I do.
Oh, now you do. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Wait, so she told you that when you guys were already, like, you already had, like, she had a reason to say that, because she realized you guys
I cannot tell you. That's exactly what happened. When she met me at the office, she came over to me and said that to me.
Oh my God. And that convinced you right away, or you were like,
no, I mean, that didn't convince me, but there was a process over the week or two. The person I was involved in, who was wonderful, I knew that it wasn't,
So that kind of just solidified the.
No, exactly. So we went out for coffee, this and that, and the rest. And then it took 2 years of us seeing each other, and then we got married in 1975.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Listen, I don't advise people to do stuff like that, but obviously.
How many years are you guys married?
46.
Okay. So, I mean, yours worked out.
So it worked out.
Yeah.
My wife is amazing.
No, I see. You guys are really, a pleasure to watch together.
Thank you.
Goals.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. And I guess because we have 2 minutes and 54 seconds of this annoying Zoom thing that's end off, but this has been really fascinating. Honestly, I could go on forever if time would allow it.
So listen, first of all, I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
A pleasure to be with you, and in the
likewise.
future, as you move along, there's a lot of other things to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, noted.
Good.
Okay. Well, it's my honor and pleasure, and I hope the recording will record. And I really appreciated this. Thank you for your time, and I hope that whatever anti-Semitism that you're combating, I hope it is successful. I have a question. Do you believe that we need to move to Israel or something, or we stay here? And
I mean, that's a question a lot of people ask me. When do you think will be the time? How will we know when we should get out? People ask me that question.
When a bench says "Jew, don't sit on me."
That
happened in Germany.
It's hard for me to answer such a question. Everyone has to make their own decisions. We have a home in Israel. Look, it's very hard. Our grandchildren are all here. I go to Israel 3-4 times a year. I love being there. If not for family, I would definitely be there without any question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess
Great.
It's something you don't have Ruach HaKodesh, so I understand, but pretty close. Pretty close.
Well, we do
compared to
have
other people.
an amazing country, with
Right.
a lot of problems, but an amazing country.
No, I agree, which allows us to do a podcast like this, right? And hopefully they won't cancel us off of YouTube or iTunes or whatever, or Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Anyway, thank you
Be
so
well.
much. You
Take
too.
care. See you soon.
You too.